Well, hello ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls and anybody else who's flying with us. We're currently travelling at 187 kilometres an hour and should reach our destination in about 90 minutes. The reason I'm talking to you now is very simple, because I'm bored. We're in the fourth dimension of our 4,000 mile journey around Europe and the UK. We're not just having a flash around Europe and UK flaunting COVID like the Liverpoolian bloke we saw at the hotel in whatever that place is you leave, Norfolk or whatever it's called.
Folkestone.
What was it called?
Folkestone.
Folkestone. He was just a show off and an idiot. Refused to wear his mask, claimed that he'd been banned from every budget hotel in the country apart from Premier Inn. He was about to get it banned from there because he wouldn't wear a mask, because he didn't believe COVID existed. We believe COVID exists, and the reason we went on this momentous journey is to make sure we got there and back, hopefully, when I say make sure, hopefully without having to self-isolate, or as one of our family put it, self-insulate. We had to see family, we had to see friends, we had to do a bit of business, so we drove from Slovakia to the UK. Now we're on the way back. What I wanted to say is that the difference in Europe since we left 5 or 6 weeks ago is phenomenal. When we set off, where we live in Poprad, it was quite a normal town. The only time you had to wear your masks really were if you went in a shop. Now it looks like we're returning to a city that's closed its restaurants, closed its bars, closed down its life once again, and that's because of COVID. The other thing is, as we travelled through Poland, through Hungary, through the Czech Republic, I'm being laughed at now because I've got no idea where we travelled through, but we had to drive across Belgium and France without stopping to make sure we didn't have to lock down in Britain. That's pretty hard, to drive for 3.5 hours without even having an ablutionary break, but we did it. Well, everywhere we went, we stopped in Austria, we stopped in Poland, we stopped in Germany, and ultimately stopped in Britain. The attitude to COVID seemed very relaxed. People put the masks on, but that was it. We went to bars and restaurants, everybody was doing that. Life was pretty good. We got to Britain, it was like a dystopian movie. It was like something that had been made in the 1920s. It was like Slovakia was before 1989, when it was released from the clutches of communism and it was given back its freedom. People in Britain were depressed, people were frightened, the pubs were empty, everything was empty. People didn't have jobs to go to, or they had jobs but they couldn't go to them. People were frightened about the children going to school. In fact, the reason we didn't get to see the youngest members of our family was because when we got there, or a couple of weeks after we got there and we were arranging to meet them, one of them at 5 years old had been sitting next to somebody in the school classroom who'd been confirmed with COVID. Now this child of ours, this young child, got locked down. We couldn't see them. We saw my 90-year-old mother for a few minutes in an abandoned local bar. We saw Andrea's auntie for a few minutes too, on the doorstep. And that's how Britain was. Forget about Boris, forget about everything else, that's a totally different argument. But we were pleased that we were heading back to Central Europe, where things seem to have a sense of normality. We're now driving through Bavaria, and if you can see, although it's not really worth using the camera to show you, the traffic is absolutely minimal. This motorway is usually teeming with wagons, HGVs, cars, anything you can think of. Now, look, there, you can see now, nothing, not a vehicle. And that's because it appears that Central Europe is heading down that same road as the UK. All I can say is, and I believe this, I think finally Britain and Europe are really taking COVID seriously. They are actually saying we've got to stop this because it's going to destroy our economies, it's going to destroy our lives, it's going to destroy our families. That's not because I feel it's a major killer disease, it's just that we don't know what to do with it. Facebook is filled with idiots. I put a piece on today about the fact that the first virus, an exclusive photographs of the first potential virus rolling off the production line. People poo-pooed it. People said no. We've had riots in London. Don't wear your mask, riots. Well, why don't we give ourselves the chance of surviving it? Yes, it's depressing. Europe's depressed. Let's leave it at that, because I'm coming up to some sort of junction here which I don't understand because I'm a Brit abroad. Thank you for listening to me. Bye bye.